Hi, I am Atty. Rejoy Subihano, and tonight I will be discussing on the legal analysis of our group. I will be discussing primarily on the 1987 Constitution, particularly the provisions that affect the right of workers or employees. We will take once again a tour on these beautiful and promising provisions of our Constitution and how these affect now the present workers in view of the devastating effects brought about by this pandemic. Are these provisions still relevant in the light of the economic havoc that is pervading our country today? Let me show you these constitutional provisions under Section 5 of Article 2 of our 1987 Constitution provides the following: the maintenance of peace and order, the protection of life, liberty and property, and the promotion of the general welfare are essential for the enjoyment by all the people of the blessings of democracy. Section 18. The state affirms labor as a primary social economic force. It shall protect the rights of workers and promote their welfare. Section 3. The state shall afford full protection to labor, local and overseas, organized and unorganized, and promote full employment and equality of employment opportunities of all. It shall guarantee the rights of all workers to self-organization, collective bargaining and negotiations, and peaceful concerted activities, including the right to strike in accordance with law. They shall be entitled to security of tenure, humane conditions of work, and a living wage. They shall also participate in policy and decision-making processes affecting their rights and benefits as may be provided for by law. This is found in Article 13, Section 3 of the 1987 Constitution. Now, to magnify this all, to put a clearer picture on this, I will show you this matrix that will show the condition as well as the right of the workers, civil, political rights, and their welfare rights. Let me show you this matrix. Under this first column, you have here the condition, which is the economic environment. The second column is the civil and political rights. And the third column refers to the welfare rights. Under the first row, we have the pre-pandemic. Of course, when there was yet no pandemic, the right to self-organization, collective bargaining and negotiations, peaceful, concerted activities, including the right to strike, are very important. These are demanded, availed of by all our workers. There was no question with that. And under the column welfare rights, of course, the protection of life, security of tenure, minimum wages and salaries, minimum hours, days of work, all of this are properly observed, demanded by our workers. No doubt about it. But how about during the pandemic? We have here the right to self-organization is even restricted. Collective bargaining negotiation becomes non-essential. It is already immaterial to every workers. You cannot hear them talking about collective bargaining agreements. The right to strike has even restricted. Because, of course, of the situation, you cannot expect all people to come together and to voice out their concerns and their redress to our government. Under the column of welfare rights of our workers, protection to life is unsecured. We all know that. That is already an admitted fact. Security of tenure is unprotected. We have heard about it. We have seen mass layoff. Wages and salaries is hardly regulated and even checked because workers do not anymore demand minimum salaries. As long as they can get wages enough to sustain their families, then that's all right. And then the minimum hours, days of work has not been observed. Workers, even given 3 hours work a day, 4 hours work a day, they will bite it because of the condition in our country. Now, on the last row, you have there the remedies of the state to mitigate the impact of the pandemic to workers. Well, we know that in the ECQ, MECQ areas, the right to strike and to peaceably assemble is, of course, prohibited. And in the GCQ areas, this is tightly regulated. Now, under the welfare rights of the workers, you have there the requirement on the minimum health standard protocols. Of course, social distancing, wearing of masks, face shields, etc. This has been a standard operating procedure in every employment, in every workplace. Extension of floating status, which is up to 1 year, as exhaustively discussed by my companion. The cash assistance, of course, we have heard that provided for by our government, although inadequate, but at least enough to sustain the workers for a certain period of time. The cash for work was granted by the government, and even priority of being recalled to work after the pandemic has been granted by our government as a policy. In the final analysis, the laws protecting the rights of the workers come relevant only under normal conditions. But in situation like this where COVID-19 pandemic wrought havoc to our economy, affecting all sectors, especially the workers, survival eclipses all other rights. What becomes more important to everyone, not only to the state and the employers, but even the workers themselves, is survival. To make themselves and their families stay afloat in these most difficult times. All other rights become subservient to that right to stay alive during this pandemic. In the light of all this, what is our recommendation? This will be delivered to us by Attorney Romero Basilan. Thank you and stay tuned.